Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Owen talks about sports and movies. Thank you for checking out today's video. I always appreciate the support. Let's get into it. So this year, the MCU had a very triumphant return, and they gave us 9 total projects, 4 movies, 5 TV shows, and I really enjoyed all of them. I thought the MCU had a great year this year, but today we are going to rank the MCU projects. I'll be ranking them from objectively worst to best, not my personal favorites. This list would look drastically different if we were just ranking which one of them are my favorites, but we're just going to go from worst to best. Make sure you leave your thoughts and comments below. Do you agree with my list? Do you have a different opinion? I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let's go. And I will also be issuing a spoiler alert. With all that being said, let's actually get into it. So coming in at number 9, we got What If. So I thought the show was really fun, and I did enjoy it. I think when this show does well, this show is excellent. I think when they get the concept right, and they get the story right, and they get the consequences of that right, I think they do a really, 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 really good job. Party Thor episode, Doctor Strange was really good. What If Ultron 1 was really good, and the finale was pretty good. And so when they did good, they did excellent. But when they didn't do too hot, I really think that it's just ends up being okay. I thought the Captain Carter episode was okay. There were some implications like that's kind of weird. But I think the worst episode by far and away is the T'Challa Star-Lord one. Not only do I think it's not a very good concept, but it's just like the implications of that one little switch don't make sense at all. Why is T'Challa being Star-Lord all of a sudden turns Thanos into a not genocidal monster? That makes no sense to me. That entire episode makes 0 sense to me. I don't like that episode. That episode was probably my least favorite episode out of any of the MCU shows this year. But What If is not supposed to be some super grand gesture project, and I have no doubt that season 2 and the seasons going on, I mean, this show can go on forever. And so I think the show is going to be good going forward. I did enjoy it, but I think when it does really good, it's excellent, and when it doesn't do good, it's very, very, very average. Coming to number 8, we got The Eternals. So I did enjoy this movie. I did like it. I didn't love it. I did like it. I think what this movie does well is it introduces a very diverse and very different and very vast group of characters. The character dynamics and character interactions are absolutely fantastic in this movie. All their different power sets are very interesting. They do a great job of differentiating all their different powers and how they use them and the personality traits. They're the connections between the Eternals are very, very believable. It's a very strong family bond. The way the characters interact are all way, 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 way good. Very excellent. Very James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy, the Suicide Squad-esque character interactions and character level dynamics. I do have a few issues with more the story aspect of this film. First and foremost, the Icarus twist should have had a much more profound reaction on the Eternals. I mean, that is a huge, 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 huge reveal that he killed Ajax and that he's not going to let the Eternals save Earth. And he just turns on them. And, I mean, they kind of react to it, but not like how I thought they should have. But the story gets really kind of jam-packed. It's definitely a different MCU type of movie, and that's not my criticism with it. I just think it gets a little jam-packed. They do not have a profound enough reaction to the Icarus twist. And the Deviants, they were just okay. I really felt like the Deviants probably had something really interesting there. Because, yeah, they were made to serve, I don't remember what that big Celestial's name is. And then he just turns on them and just throws them away, and then they make the Eternals to hunt him down. That would have pissed me off too. But they just didn't nail that. They just didn't nail some of the story aspects. And so overall, this movie just ended up being pretty okay, but I did enjoy it. Okay, number 7, we got Black Widow. What this movie, again, it's kind of a mixed bag, like What If and Eternals. Um, I think I think it's great to see Natasha as the lead character. I think Natasha does great. Scarlett Johansson, I think, gives her best performance she's given in her entire run in the MCU. Her and Yelena was fantastic. I mean, Yelena is just awesome. Florence Pugh is awesome. All the different character interactions, once again, like Eternals, I think what Phase 4 has done really well is character dynamics and character interactions. And this one is no different. Red Guardian and Yelena and Natasha and Rachel Weisz's character, who I cannot remember her name off the top of my head right now. Their character dynamic and their familial bond is very, very good and excellent and wonderful and really, really the heart and core of this movie. And it's great to see Natasha get her time in the light. Once again, this movie suffers from some story issues. I really don't have any type of problem with the story of this movie until the third act. The third act is way, way, way too big. That is not a Black Widow third act. That is, just from a power level standpoint, that third act was way too big. The falling out of the sky and the building and just big CGI kind of mess was just not the type of ending that I really think Black Widow should have had. And I really think Taskmaster was just a waste. I think there was a lot of potential there with Taskmaster being the daughter of Draco that Natasha killed. I think there's a lot of potential right there. I just really, and I don't mind like the gender swap or like what they did backstory wise for Taskmaster. That's not what bothers me. I really just think Taskmaster is super, super, super underutilized. And in the final battle, Natasha beats Taskmaster way too easily. But there was a lot of potential there, which makes it really disappointing. Honestly, I really think Taskmaster just is super, 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 super underutilized. And that's really unfortunate. So I like the character dynamics and the character interactions in this movie. But maybe third act, very, very messy, and the main antagonist is underused. So coming in at number 6, we've got the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I absolutely love Sam and Bucky's arc in this show. They're so good. They're so great. Watching Sam overcome all the adversity and dealing with, some more deeper topics when it comes to racism and everything like that in this country. And Bucky being right there with him, and Bucky dealing with his own personal trauma and everything like that, overcoming all that. And their character dynamic and them helping each other work through that, excellent. So good. Wonderful. Pretty much perfect. Having Zemo back was great. He was awesome. He's super charismatic. He's super fun just to have around. And watching him kind of soak up the chaos was super fun to watch. John Walker was really good in the show. I think he was written very well. Where this show falls short for me is just there's not really an antagonizing force that is urgent and pressing. I think, and ultimately Carly and the Flag Smashers really, really fall short. There was supposed to be a pandemic plot point where it was more urgent, or the motivation for the Flag Smashers to get all the medicine and steal medicine and everything like that, and for the No Global Borders was more pressing. But due to COVID, they had to scratch that because that would have came off really insensitive. So I think if we would have had the pandemic plot line, I think that I don't think they did enough altering to the story after they completely cut the pandemic plot line for the Flag Smashers to be like super urgent. So I think they really fall short. And the Sharon Carter power broker thing was super obvious, and the twist wasn't shocking or anything like that. So I just really don't think the antagonizing forces in this show end up being a big enough threat. So I think that's where this show falls short, and that's why it kind of drags on and gets a little boring sometimes. But the character arc of Sam and Bucky is excellent. And so I will give the show absolute props for that. Okay, the top 5 and the next 3 specifically, I think can be really, really interchangeable. You do with what you want with the next 3. But kind of at number 5, I'm going to go with Loki. Definitely the most sci-fi out of all the Marvel shows that we got this year. Tom Hiddleston absolutely ate up his performance. I just want to preface that these next 5, I think, are all very, very excellent Marvel projects. Especially these next 3 are very interchangeable. But Tom Hiddleston absolutely ate up this performance. I mean, just absolutely ate. Him and Mobius's character interactions, Owen Wilson does a great job. Their character dynamic is just great. The other Lokis, Kid Loki and Old Loki and Boastful Loki and Alligator Loki are all great. I thought the finale was really, really good. And especially with the introduction of Kang. I don't remember what the Kang variant was at the end. I don't remember his name, like the one beyond time or whatever. But I thought all of that was really good, and the implications of the multiverse, and just the Tom Hiddleston's low-key journey of like learning to love himself and learning and knowing, or in like teaching himself that he doesn't have to be the bad guy. It was all really good. Where I think this show gets held back a little bit is that, and I've changed my opinion, I'm sure, from my actual Loki review, but I really think that Loki gets overshadowed by Sylvie, and I don't out of everyone in the show, I found Sylvie to be the least interesting out of all the people they focused on, and so Loki got overshadowed in his own show by someone who I found the least interesting. I didn't find her uninteresting. I just found her the least interesting, so that's where the show gets held back for me personally. Okay, coming in at number 4, we got Hawkeye. So the newest MCU project that we just got out of the shows. I just dropped my Hawkeye review, so I'm not going to go into too deep detail, but Kate and Clint's chemistry, like I said in my review, make sure to go check that out, is probably, I think, the strongest chemistry between 2 characters that we've seen. I mean, their character dynamic is just fantastic. They're super funny. They're super witty. You can tell they really, really, really care for each other. And I think it's because Kate reminds Clint a lot of Natasha. And so Clint really, 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 really just enjoys being around Kate and enjoys helping her and teaching her and everything like that. And that's all great. This show is just super fun. Way fun, way witty. Excuse me. I loved Yelena. She's just great in everything she's been in so far. Super excited to see what she's in from now on. I thought the tracksuits were good. They were a fine enough power level or threat. They were just fine. Just fun little banter for Clint and Kate. Maya was solid. She definitely got more room to improve upon her character, but she was pretty solid. And I liked Kingpin in his small role, and I don't think he's dead, but I absolutely loved and adore Hawkeye. Coming in at number 3, we got WandaVision. Definitely my personal favorite out of all of the MCU shows. My second favorite MCU project. I mean, just the obsession behind WandaVision was so great and so fun. I loved, just me personally, I loved all the theories each week and everything like that. That was just so fun. But I think what this show does really, really well is exploring Wanda's trauma, her acceptance of that trauma and her overworking that. The classic homage to all the different eras of television was also super great. Each episode being a different era of television was so smart and so unique to what they could. I think the greatest strength of this show was how unique it truly is. Until the finale, which I didn't think was perfect, but that's okay. The show is just super unique and super awesome and super great, and watching Wanda just progress throughout the show was great. Wanda is simultaneously the protagonist and the antagonist of the show, and that's just super unique. And the side characters in the show were all super great. Monica, Darcy, Jimmy Woo were all fantastic. Agatha's great. Hayward and White Vision and all that was okay. They're fine. But I think just the fact that they were able to even throw out such unique concepts and then execute on them is what really, really is the strength of WandaVision. And WandaVision's also the only Disney Plus show that I've watched through multiple times. I absolutely love WandaVision. I really, really think WandaVision is just absolutely excellent. Coming in at number 2, we got ShangChi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I think the only nitpick I have in this movie is that this movie ends up getting a little too big. Uh, Kind of falls into the classic MCU trap of just being too big in the third act, just slightly. But I think ultimately it's not too bad, and so that's really my only criticism of the film. Once again, like I said before, the character dynamics in this movie are all just so good. Watching Ching, I love acceptance arcs. Um, I love Peter Parker's arc of accepting being Spider-Man. I love Aragorn's arc in Lord of the Rings of accepting having to be the king of all men. And this movie does that well with Shang-Chi. And I'm just a sucker for that kind of arc, so that may be a little biased, but I believe they nail it in this movie. Katie and Shang-Chi's sister, I don't remember her name off the top of my head. All of them were super great. Shang-Chi's dad as the villain was super, super awesome. He was great. The choreography, the fight choreography in this movie is fantastic. This movie's beautiful. This was my biggest surprise of the year, and I just absolutely love Shang-Chi, and I think this movie is absolutely fantastic. I definitely thought this was easily the best Marvel movie that came out this year, except for the one that's in front of it, by far and away. And I think there's a pretty clear gap between it and the rest of the projects, other than the one that's number one. Coming in number one, no surprise, Spider-Man No Way Home. Like I said in my review, this is probably my new favorite movie I've ever seen. I really think that this movie, it's so unique. I have no criticisms of it. I really think it's just a perfect Spider-Man movie. It's a perfect comic book film. It's just excellent. Watching MCU Peter's personal arc, of just him going through all that pain and the consequences of his right choices costing him, but still choosing to ultimately end up getting up and doing the right thing over and over again, no matter what it cost him, is just pure peak Spider-Man to me. I liked the Doctor Strange's role in this movie. He wasn't in it for too much. I loved all the villains. I loved Doc Ock and Green Goblin and Sandman and Electro and Lizard, even though Sandman and Lizard don't do too much in this movie. And then, of course, I absolutely loved Andrew and Toby in it. They're not nostalgia. They're not fan service. They're integral parts to this movie. Very, very important characters in this movie. And I think this movie does something so unique because it recontextualizes three different movie franchises, and really just elevates three different movie franchises, and no other movie has ever done it before, and I really doubt any other movie will. And so that's why No Way Home checks in at number one. I think No Way Home would probably check in at number one for any list for me personally, but there you have it. So thank you for watching today's video. Make sure you leave your thoughts and comments below. What is your ranking of the MCU projects this year? Check out the link content. And you guys have a great New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Appreciate it.